Alright, so today we're going to look at some pay dirt that we just recently got from the Constellation Mining Company in Alaska. And we got it in here. I opened it up a little bit. This is the bag it came in, nice gold foil colored bag. Inside it was a Ziploc bag that contained the dirt. Here's the card that they provided with it, and here's the dirt. We've just opened it up, just poured it in the pan. I've done nothing to it yet at this point. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of us going through this dirt and see what we find. So hope you stay tuned and hope you enjoy watching. So with this order, my wife had also purchased a sieve for me on this. So we've got a sieve here that is very fine and would be very good for sifting out the fine stuff. But for this purpose, I'm not going to use that today. We're just going to go with the dirt we have, the small pan that I have here, and a bucket of water. It's a doesn't need a whole lot of water, just enough to dip the pan into. So I'm going to soak it, get some, put it into the water, let the water sit in there, and I'm going to try to do this with one hand. We just kind of shake it up now. Shaking it up makes the heavier gold and all the heavier objects go to the bottom, and the light stuff come to the top. You see all that residue that's coming out of the dirt that we can just allow to pour right off of there now. We get rid of that. Now I found that when you're shaking it up, it doesn't take a lot of time for the gold to actually settle to the bottom. So you can overshake and get it down there, and that's not going to really hurt anything. The more you shake it, just don't shake it so much that you bring it all back to the top. Just a gentle back and forth motion will get it down. And not just a flat back and forth motion, but kind of keep the pan tilted to one side as you do it. Keep it consistently in one area, the tilt, so that the heavier objects will congregate in that lower part of the pan then. Alright, so now I'm going to have to put this down for a minute and continue here. Okay, as you see, I poured some of the water out of it, and we got most of the water out now, and we can get it back in here and get our method going here. I'm trying to learn how to do this with one hand, so be patient with me on that. Alright, so now we're going to start pouring the water out and letting it come in, letting it come out. Sometimes it's better to sift the heavier objects, the bigger objects, out first, but we're not going to do that. You can always save the dirt and go through it again and again if you feel like you haven't done anything or got everything out of it. Alright, so I'm going to spend some time here. I'm going to sift this all down, and we're going to see what we got then. Alright, stay tuned. One of the things I highly recommend when you're doing your pans is lighting. Lighting is very important because you want to get light that you have real good visibility, but you don't want the glare. like I've got a light right above me, so whenever I put this down in the water, I got all kinds of glare on it. So you want to try to find an angle that you can see the dirt without getting a lot of glare from the light bulb or the sun outside if you happen to be outside. Another comment, be patient. Don't be in a big hurry to get through the dirt. Number one, the sooner you get through it, the sooner you're done and you don't have any more to work with. So go through it slow, enjoy what you're doing, and just have a good time while you're doing it. Number two, if you go too fast and you get impatient, you're more than likely going to wash some gold out of your pan and not even realize it. When you've shaken your pan enough so that you're pretty convinced that anything heavy is at the bottom area, you can start to allow the water to wash the top areas off. So you can get a little rhythm going and allow the water to ebb in and ebb out and carry some of the stuff with it. Keep shaking it, brings the stuff up to the top that you can wash out. See how those bigger rocks are just going to wash right out of there. Just dip it in, allow the water to pull it out. Now you just got to be careful that you don't allow it to go down too far into the area where you might have some gold in there. So you just keep shaking it to make sure your gold's at the bottom, and then allow the water to start washing it out.
That's a good idea. Dan will eat that.
So we've gotten it down pretty good now. Still got some heavier rocks in there that I'd like to get out of there, but we're just trying to show you the basics here a little bit. One thing, when you get down and you have to tip the bowl a little steeper and you get the stuff running out towards the edge, you get it out towards the edge like this, you want to allow some of that stuff to run off, but you want to make sure that your finer dirt, you keep pulling it back so that your dirt gets down, let's see, so that your heavy stuff gets back down in the crease down at the bottom of the bowl, here. You want it to get down in there. So if you start tipping it and everything's in there, every once in a while pull it all back down into here and shake it to get your heavy stuff down there, and then allow the top stuff to come back out over the edge. Now these pans have these ridges on them, and that's to help to keep the heavy stuff catch as it slides out the edge. If you slide it out this way, there's nothing to stop your gold from going out. This ridge side has blocks so that it will stop some of the gold as it slides out the pan. But when you have heavier rocks in there and you're using that ridge side, your heavier rocks tend to get stuck there and you can't really wash them out real easily. So if you make sure you get your heavy stuff shaken down, you can always use the smooth side and get some of your heavier rocks out that way. You just got to work it carefully. Now I don't know how good this video is going to be able to see what I'm doing, because I'm trying to watch what I'm doing and not really watching the camera. But you can work the stuff right up to the edge and then allow the water to take it, and you don't have those ridges now that's going to stop those bigger rocks from going out. And you don't have to worry about the finer dirt there, because if you're shaking it enough, your gold's going to be down in that bottom area of the bowl anyway. Another thing that I would note would be, as you get less and less dirt in there, your shaking becomes more and more gentle, because you don't have as much dirt to move around. Plus, any gold that you have in there is more than likely already at the bottom. So when you shake it too vigorously, you risk bringing it back up and getting it back into the stuff you're trying to wash out. So get more and more gentle as you have less and less dirt. If you notice the way I've been shaking it, you see how all the heavier rocks get all grouped together and the finer stuff is all grouped together. I'm still seeing just regular fine dirt. I haven't got down to the black dirt yet, or the black sand. So you see, I just wanted to show you how that stuff, if you're consistent with your shaking, it'll all congregate together. Now I got to a point where I started to see a piece of gold in the stuff that I was washing out. So you have to really keep an eye on that when you get down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash this back a little bit and just kind of see what kind of gold we can see in there. So I'm going to fill it with water. Not so much water. And we're just going to start to bring it back a bit. Still got too much water. There's one piece showing up right now. You see how heavy? See how heavy that gold is? You can let the water run. As long as you don't overdo it, you can let the water wash away the dirt, and the gold usually will just stay in place. You see how that shows how it's heavy. So let's see what else we can get here. So shaking it up a bit. Okay, there it's showing up. There's your gold. So now it's a matter of getting the rest of the dirt out and leaving the gold in there. So I'm going to finish working this out, and then I'll show you what I ended up with. Now I noticed some real fine gold right there in the middle of the screen along the crease of the pan that I have been pushing with the water. It's floating, this gold is. See how it's moving with the water? The water's pushing that gold right out of there. So one of the things I neglected to do in this is put the rinse agent in. They recommend that you do that when you're panning your dirt, because that breaks the water tension and allows the gold to sink and not float. Surprisingly enough, gold does float. It's kind of an oxymoron, but I've seen it and other people have seen it, so it does float. So just a word of warning there too. It appears that this bag does have a lot of fine gold in it. It is fine and it is floating. Now if I had put my rinse agent in, it might have helped that to go down to the bottom, but see if it'll focus in here. But there's definitely pieces of gold floating around in the water. So I will have to redo this dirt again, definitely after I get this finished, and see if I can catch some of that finer gold. Now when you get to this point, you might be thinking, oh, there's nothing in here. There's not much dirt left. But don't be discouraged. At this point, as you're rinsing the dirt out, you almost want to rinse it so slowly that you can watch it go out grain by grain. So I'm going to try to illustrate that while I'm holding it. Let me get some water in here. Okay, now you're going to just too much glare. Just want to find the right angle. Here we go. Just want to watch that go out little bit by little bit. Just take the front part of it. Don't go back too far. Just rinse out a lot of that stuff that's sitting there in the front. I'm going to reach in and move these little rocks out of the way. I'm going to add some water so that any gold